Friday. I don't know, 9th, 10th of September, whatever. I'm just doing this as a bit of a catch up. There was no video last week because basically I didn't have anything to do and no money to go out to do a vlog or anything like that, because I only had like one day's work last week, but that day was awesome. Now, many of you know I'm a test rider as well as a test driver, and I can tell you about the bike I was riding. It would be so much more usable with hydraulic clutch, just a lighter clutch. Hang on, oh, that was me. So yeah, so that was my day's work of the week. So good day, apart from the pain, good day. So the plan is tomorrow, if the weather's alright, take Nibbler out for a run and we'll do a vlog, and I might go out towards Oakham, Rutland Water, somewhere like that, somewhere nice. Probably do what they call the Oakham TT, which is featured in a lot of bike mags, or used to be, and it's, you know, Melton Mowbray, I think he's at Oakham and Uppingham, places like that. There's a little triangle, but they're nice roads out there. Used to be quite heavily policed. There's speed cameras, but you know what we do on a vlog, we bimble about. You know, I'm out there for leisure, not to set lap records, not to prove a point. Which brings me to, this week's been quite hectic. Work Monday and Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Mrs. Shed had a hospital appointment where she needed an MRI scan and then a needle right up into through a neck into a spine. Yeah. So I took her for that, because otherwise it's like 4 buses there, 4 buses back. When you're all grogged up, it's not good. Anyway, before that, Wednesday morning I woke up and there was already a text on my phone with a couple of pictures of Ernie the shop dog, with quite a sorry looking eye. His eye had all closed up, and it turned out he'd been crying in pain with it and stuff like that. So we got him straight down the vet. So I bombed straight down there, and we got him into the vets, who were brilliant. Pets at Home at Oxford, absolutely fantastic vets. And he'd got, I suppose it depends around where the world you are, but in this country we have a species of grass which looks like a little arrow, and they're barbs. And he'd, you know, when we were kids, we used to just pick them off the grass stalks and chuck them at each other because they used to stick to everything. He'd got one of them in his eyelid, and it had scratched all his eye up. But as soon as he came out of the vets and that was removed, he was a happy waggy pup again. So now he's got to go back tomorrow, Saturday, for a check-up. So yeah, bit of a hectic day, that including hospital. So it was a bit hectic, so I haven't had time to do any videos. And also, there's been a lack of money, basically, because, you know, only one day's work, you've got to prioritise your money. So when the money's there, when I've got spare money, the rear brake line will be done. I might replace the screen, because this one, somebody had stuck carbon fibre vinyl on the screen and it looked revolting, worse than revolting. It really did look terrible. Anyway, I managed to peel all that off, but it's left some residue behind which I can't get rid of. I've tried WD, GT85, plastic polish, all that lot, it isn't moving. But bear in mind, if that is the original screen, which I think it is because it's got the smoked bottom and all that lot, it's 30 years old. It's like Perspex, they don't keep their looks. So I'll probably replace that. I might even go for black, just to match the bike, because you don't actually look through this. I don't need to. I'm not a chin on the tank kind of rider. But anyway, coming back from Oxford Wednesday, I've got a new route now. It's a lovely route, and I go up to Shipston on Stour, you know, past Blenheim Palace and all that lot. and then I pick up the Foss at Shipston on Stour and come back up this neck of the woods. Literally 2 minutes from Mr. Krieg Doghouse Dunes. And at Shipston on Stour there's a little roundabout and you pick up the Foss Way. Well, I picked up this guy on a Harley. Yeah, if you how can I put this? Because some of you are going to ride and dress like him, but it depends what country you're in. In America, you know, you don't tend to ride in protective jackets or anything like that. You know, you ride around in t-shirts, no gloves and all this lot. But that is just your culture. And I've got nothing against it. It probably works in your country. Over here in the UK and in Europe as general, if you're not wearing the proper gear, at least jacket and gloves, you're marked as a bit of a knob. And our emergency services and health service tend to scrub that little bit harder if you come off to get rid of the road rash. They really give you a good drubbing over if you didn't wear proper kit, you know. Anyway, this guy, it was a Sportster. I don't know what CC, could have been an 883, could have been a 12, but I think it was an 883. Straight through exhaust, so nice and loud. And he was there riding in a black Metallica t-shirt, no gloves, piss pot helmet and sunglasses. And this is about 7 o'clock at night, 7:30 by this time. And anyway, I thought, in no rush, so I followed him. He's in front of me, and he's like, his lines through the corners were awful. I mean awful, and he wasn't a young man. He wasn't an old man either. I'd say he was 50s. Long hair, piss pot helmet, sunglasses, t-shirt, you know. He's trying to do Sons of Anarchy in fucking Oxfordshire. Doesn't work. Does not work in this country. Just doesn't work. You know, in his own mind he probably thinks he looks uber cool and all this lot. He actually looked like a bit of a bellend. But hey, that's just my opinion. You might think you look alright like that, but who am I to say? I probably look like a bellend in my riding gear, to be honest. But he was 50 pence in corners, and what we mean by that is we've got a coin in the UK which is basically a hexagon, like a hexagon, and he was doing that around corners. He was like like that, not nice and smooth, picking a good line, making the bike easy, you know, making it an easy ride. He was like literally out to the middle of the road, along the middle of the road, but he was doing it in straight lines, not an arc. And then half the time he was riding in the gutter. Every time another motorbike come the other way, you'd hear him pull the clutch in, rev his bike up and all this lot. Through the villages he was like deliberately in a lower gear to make his bike really noisy, so everybody looked at him and all this lot. Well, he was holding me up, to be honest, because half the time he was barely doing 50 miles an hour. And if anybody does know the road I'm on about, regardless of what the posted speed limit is, you can do that road very safely a lot quicker. And it's like, I'm getting bored of you now, because you are actually holding me up, you know. And then it come to about 8 o'clock and he actually waved me past. Now I always keep a respectable distance from bikes and cars, but in the end he waved me past, and I thought, you know, stuck my hand up, had the roof down in the car because I'm cool. And I thought, I know why you've waved me past, mate. It's because it's 8 o'clock, it's getting dark, you can't see fuck all because you've got sunglasses on. If you knew you were going to be out riding that late, why didn't you have some clear glasses or yellow driving glasses, which I shall put a link down for. I've got a pair of yellow biker riding glasses. They're meant as night driving glasses, and they cut down headlight glare, but they also amplify all like light source. So it could be 8 o'clock or heavy dusk or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like 6 o'clock again. It just, all ambient light, it just improves it, and it's only because you're looking through a yellow lens. That's the only reason. But why didn't he have the foresight to do that? Because he was too busy trying to look cool. Now when an ambulance crew comes and picks you off the road because you've gone off the road because you can't fucking see, and they see that you're, you know, wearing just a t-shirt and all this lot and sunglasses, what do you think they're going to think? You know, if they read your obituary because they found you dead, and it says, oh, such a nice bloke, oh, he did everything for everybody, he was a really good rider and all this lot, which amongst his peers he probably is, you know, because we all start somewhere. But I don't think his riding was all that good, and mine is not brilliant either, but you know, there is a basic standard which even everybody should be able to attain, and he just didn't. But what are they going to think when they're reading that obituary? Oh, he was this, oh, he was that, and all this lot, and they're thinking, hang on a minute, this doesn't tally up with the bell end we picked out of a ditch where he wouldn't have been if he could have seen where he was going, and even if he did crash he would have survived it wearing the proper kit, etc. Do you know what I'm getting at? I'm not whinging on it, honestly. Anyway, enough of my waffle. Hopefully in the next bit you'll see we'll get on Nibbler. Gotta do moan, don't I? Right, well, we'll see how this goes. Not sure how much you can hear. The microphone's in a slightly different position. There we go, slip road nice and clear, lovely. Right, well, I suppose I better introduce the video properly. Ready? Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spot. Oh, hang on. Can we say that? Can we say blackbird these days? Somebody, somewhere, is bound to be offended. Because we can't say anything anymore. And as the terminology goes in Britain, you can't call a spade, which has nothing to do with coloured folk. Some people call a spade a shovel, and vice versa, and that's where the saying came from. But you know, same rule applies. Anyway, what we're doing now, we're going down to one of the other local villages, and they have done what they call a yarn bomb, which is where there's loads of knitted stuff all around the village. So we'll go and have a look at that. The area on the left the other week was the site of called the Victory Show, which is like a World War II reenactment celebration sort of thing. So we get a free air show. And I've got a van driver behind me at the minute who thinks he's James on. Probably rhymes with James on, let's put it that way. Probably working on a Saturday. He's probably got 8,006 drops to do and 21 million collections. There we go. Got a pedestrian at the side of the road. There you go. Little lad on his push bike. I've got a nasty shake from my front end, a nasty rattle, and I noticed it the other day, and one of my fairing bolts that holds the inner fairing in was loose. It had actually come out and was just sitting in the holder, and I thought I'd cured it because I've tightened that up, put another screw in, but I appear to have quite a bit of a bang and clatter from the front end. Now, it's not the forks or anything, it's not anything you feel through the steering, it's definitely the fairing. And I'm thinking what it could actually be, it could be the horn. It might be that the horn mount has gone a little bit skew with. So we're in the village now where the yarn bomb is supposed to have happened, and I've seen approximately jack shit of it.
can't see any evidence of it at all. Whether it's finished or not, I don't know, but on our council newsletter it was there. There you go, there's that knock again. I think it's left hand side, I'm not sure, which would correlate with my horn mounting, because my horn mounting is there, because I've only got one fitted at the moment. There is no horn on the right hand side of this, and there should be. I've bought a horn, but I'm missing the bracket. You can always fashion something up. It's not that hard to knock up a little right angle bracket. I'm not sure whether the original's for sale. More than likely there'll be one on eBay somewhere. So we'll have to see. So that was a bit of a disappointment, because that was supposed to be, you know, a yarn bomb where all the scarecrows out, and basically they knit covers for all the bollards and stuff like that, and it looks absolutely brilliant when it's done. So yeah, that was a bit of a damp squib, but ah well. So anyway, following on from my rant at the beginning of it wasn't really a rant. It's just that I get quite irate at when people ride in t-shirt and shorts. Yes, I've done it when I've been on L plates, and you know, when I was young and a bloody idiot. But this guy, he must have been in his, I would say, his late 50s. Actually, I'm not going to turn right here, so that's just confused the bloke behind me. Good, keep them guessing. He should bloody well know better. You know, riding in a t-shirt and shorts, just because you're on your Harley and you want to look cool. Well, he didn't look very cool when he couldn't bloody see anything at 8 o'clock, and you could almost see the goosebumps on his skin as the air temp dropped as we lost the sun. I mean, you know, fine, you know, if he was posing through the villages and all this lot, people are still going to think he's a wanker. But in this country, you know, in America, I know it's the done thing. Over here, it really isn't. You know, you get bloody lynched if you're not wearing the right stuff around here. Everybody suddenly becomes an armchair expert on motorcycle safety. It's like high vis. I have to wear a high vis at work if I'm on track on a motorcycle, and I don't have a problem with that. The trouble is, wearing high vis out on the road is that there is now so much of it about, we don't really notice it, because obviously everybody wears it, from a school crossing guard, a workman, but they tend to wear like orange overalls and stuff like that. Nice Camaro there. Ooh, yes. So people just, they don't see you. And if they're not looking for you, they don't see you anyway. I mean, you could be looking directly at somebody at a junction and they will not see you, because, you know, they don't want to. And every vehicle I've ever driven, at some point I've been pulled out on. And it doesn't matter whether I'm in a HGV, that's a lorry to you Americans, a semi, a push bike, you know, anything. I can be in a prototype car covered in photographic camouflage and still get pulled out on, because people sort of register you, but then they don't. So which is why it's always important on a motorcycle to make eye contact with everybody at junctions, roundabouts and all that lot. Just make sure they're looking at you, not a vacant stare. Which, you know, because most people that are driving, I'm no different in this. When I'm going to work in the morning, I am aware, but I'm not always in the mirrors every 2 seconds looking for a motorcyclist or anything like that. Because, you know, I'm going to work, I've just got up, I've still got an itch on my balls, which, you know, you're scratching work's time because that's better. And, you know, I'm the same as everybody else. Just because I ride a motorcycle doesn't necessarily mean by default I'm more aware of them. It's, you know, and if you're honest with yourself, I'm sure you're the same. But people on motorcycles can be unobservant as well. How many videos have you seen on YouTube of motorcycle accidents? that weren't really caused by excessive speed or anything. It's just that the dickhead wasn't looking where he was going or not paying attention. There's a very, very famous one of a guy coming up on a couple of lorries that are becoming stationary on a dual carriageway. And the bell end goes right through the middle of them. Well, right from the beginning of the video, you could see that there was a problem and the traffic was stopping, there was plenty of brake lights going off. But how the hell he was completely oblivious, I have no idea. And trouble is, people like that, and people that, you know, they go around corners too fast and they're ploughing through edge rows, or they're filtering at 70 miles an hour and stuff like that, when they have an accident, they are the absolute first to blame everybody else. Because, you know, they think they're some kind of god on 2 wheels, 4 wheels, however many wheels. Unfortunately, these people exist in all motorist groups, not just motorcycles, cyclists, trucks, everybody. And I guess a lot of it's just human nature. You could be, and I know this for a fact because I know people like it, you could have a friend who is the nicest friend in the world, lovely family man, stroke woman, whatever, you know, very thoughtful, very kind, very loving. But the minute they get behind the wheel of a car or the handlebars of a motorcycle, they are the devil incarnate. That's alright, you bitch. I shouldn't have said that really. Right, interesting fact. Let's talk about right of way. Because some of you probably just looked at that bit of video, and yes, there is plenty of room. This is a nice wide open village. But you know, I like to give way and stuff like that. Right of way. At the very beginning of the highway code, it discusses right of way. And a lot of people, even when they're learning to drive and stuff like this, especially if they're learning to drive from their mum or the dad or something like this, they will say, like, on an uphill like this, because you're going uphill, you have automatic right of way. Or if the congestion or obstruction is your side of the road, you must give way to the other traffic. Right, at the beginning of the highway code, it states that basically in the UK there is no such thing as right of way. Literally no such thing. Unless a sign dictates otherwise, it is up to the courtesy of the user. Somebody out there enjoying a different kind of horsepower. And probably just as expensive to run, if not more. So yeah, so right of way, if you read the highway code, does not exist. So, you know, when people get irate because they haven't been let out of like a motorway slip road or a dual carriageway slip road or something like that, they actually have themselves to blame, because in that case, traffic that is already on the main road, like a dual carriageway or a motorway, does have like the unwritten right of way. It says so much in the highway code, even though right of way doesn't exist. There are exceptions. Oh, sorry, exceptions. Does not compute. So it is the person joining the road or joining the roundabout, they have to suss it out for themselves. If they're not causing anybody else to slow down, change course or anything like that, then they are, you know, they have to make the judgment call that it's safe to join. If that person on the road decides to slow down or move over and let you out or anything like that, that's very nice of them, thank you very much, because there is absolutely no obligation to do so. And this is why a lot of road rage is entirely misplaced. If you want to get a bike with an engine, mate, you'll be less fucked. So this is it's an interesting thing, and fully enough, all the years I've been driving and being a test driver and all this lot, you try to drive to a set standard and stuff like that, you know, because you are, especially if you're in a prototype vehicle that's you know, it's got all the camo on and all that lot, you are sort of an ambassador for whoever you're testing for at the time. And you always have to have that in the back of your mind. But it's the same if you're, for example, leading a ride out. Blimey, a BMW that's just gave way. What a lovely gentleman he was, and I'm only saying that because he gave way. And, you know, he'll probably be chuff in 5 minutes, but there you go. So yeah, even like leading a ride out. Say I'm leading a ride out of 3 or 4 friends, which hasn't happened in quite a while because of, well, what's going on in the world, and it's the getting everybody available at the same time. You know, now this modern world that normal shift patterns, etc., don't exist. It's getting everybody together as well. If I overtake, that is not like a carte blanche for everybody else to overtake. Oh, you know, Jim's gone, it must be safe. Wah, wah, wah. And you see it all the time on group rides. All the time. Just because the leader goes, everybody else deems that it is safe to do so. And in many cases, it isn't. Always look at a junction for emergency vehicles. And it's actually 30 down here, even though it's nice, wide and open. Quite often there's a police officer with a speed gun sat at the top of this corner, and every time I've said that in a video, not one of them has been there. But it ain't worth the risk. This is a residential area at the end of the day. There's your clue, look. Lamp posts a set distance apart. I don't know what the actual ruling for that is. Alright, no hand signals from the cyclist there, look, completely oblivious. Completely oblivious, look, middle-aged men in Lycra. Get some fucking road awareness, you bellends. Oh, we're out for a ride and then we'll go for 12 pints. Look at that, you lovely, 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 lovely learner. Ah, to be a learner again. I don't think I could be, to be honest. I've got too many bad habits and too many miles under my belts. I mean, I must have, you know, well over 1 million miles on bikes. More middle-aged men in Lycra there, look. Don't they look stunning? Ooh, that was a bit slippy there. What was on that corner, but it felt like we had a tiny little slide there. Quick check, I can't see anything spurting out anywhere. Right, Lear, Frolsworth. It's lovely out this way. This is all round the back of like Bruntingthorpe Aerodrome, and it's basically, you know, apart from modernisation of road signs and stuff like that, basically the same as what your airmen would have looked at in World War II. Bruntingthorpe, I believe, was an American airbase. It certainly was for a good while, because they had, I think, Convair's after the war, during the Cold War. I'm sure they had Convair's based there and stuff like that, you know, the big tackle, because it has got, at the end of the day, a 2-mile runway. And I've gone flat out down it, and I can remember taking I think it was a ZZR 1100 D or E model down it once, flat out, and that did like an indicated 186, something like that. I'm not sure what the actual speed was, but I bet you it weren't far off. And I took the ZX9 down there when the ZX9 first came out, and absolutely leathered it. And then somebody else had a go, and there used to be if I remember correctly, it might have been there or Elvington, I can't remember which, but it had like a field at the, excuse me, Belchy Pops, field at the end of it, and somebody sort of misjudged their braking and ended up in the field. It might have even been Elvington, I don't know. I definitely went flat. I've been flat out at Bruntingthorpe quite a few times. I took Slinky down there when I first got Slinky. I was actually testing at Bruntingthorpe, and part of the procedure for testing was to inspect the track in the morning. And basically, because I'd already had like a 12-mile commute, the vehicle was nice and warm, all the fluids, I basically just leathered it down the motorway. And the track controllers at Bruntingthorpe are absolutely brilliant. You know, as long as you're not absolute playing the idiot, leaving number 11s doing donuts or anything like that, you can basically do a lot of stuff that they don't let you do at other proving grounds. Thank you very much, sir. I really must get to the bottom of this rattle on the fairing, because it's annoying me. It might be that this interfering bit's doing it, but it sounds more like it's the main fairing. It might even be that the clock bracket is loose, who knows. It will require inspection, so inspect it we will. It's a bloody lovely day, it's Saturday. But yeah, I can't get off the subject of Harley Boy, because it was plainly evident he was having a whale of a time. I mean, he was 50 pence in the corners and all that lot. He didn't look a confident rider or even a very capable one, and I'm not being bitchy when I say that. Even as a car driver, you can tell when somebody is connected well with their machine. And it's the same when you're following a car, following the lines of a car. You know when somebody has, you know, really got into the groove with it, and not by speeding or anything like that. Well, we're just bimbling around here today because we're on country lanes. There is a lot of farm traffic because we're coming up to the arse end of harvest and stuff like that. Another group of mammals. Now, are they going to give hand signals? Are they? Yes? No? Oh no, they were just putting their hand up to their compadre. No road markings. Oh, you know what that means? This road has just been gravelled! Yay! Great fun on a motorbike, but this looks like it's been done a little while. But we're going to take it steady, 50, 60, whatever. There's skid marks on the road, which shows this is probably done a couple of weeks ago. There is loose chippings at the side of the road, and one way to look is that the middle of the lane will always have uncleared chippings on it. You can guarantee it. So it's always best to ride in whatever you feel comfortable with. Ride in the track where a car wheel would sit. I mean, on the corner, I'm going to go across here to the left for better visibility. But also, as I corner, I want a clear section of road, and then I can move along again to the right. This guy on the Harley, he was in the gutter all the while, which is not a sign of a confident rider. Basically, command your part of the road. People say, oh, you must ride defensively. There's two arguments. You ride defensively or you ride aggressively. You find one that works for you, but just do it without being a complete bellend. That's the way to do it, you know. It's like I always move over when there's a car. We've got a horsey coming out the junction up here. So even though I'm only doing like an indicated 55 at the minute, I'm going to start rolling off now. I'm braking very gently, and I'm just popping her down the gears because I want to be going past this horse slowly but in control, and giving it a nice wide berth. And that's one of the joys about living out in the countryside. You know, you see the horses and the tractors and all that lot, and I love them. Somebody Nordic walking there. Hello, Bjorn. But you know, I ride for leisure these days because we do too many miles at work. bike, which I've ridden 200 horsepower bikes before, because obviously, or close to Ducati Devils, or however you want to describe them. You know, we did the new Honda arsehole, the new Triumph Rocket, and there's very few motorcycles and cars that make me laugh like Jekyll and Hyde, but that new Triumph Rocket 3 certainly did, because we did that from the early prototype right up to production, and it was such a comfortable machine, it was unreal. But you could chuck it around like a sports car. It was phenomenal, the brakes were phenomenal, you know, everything about it was phenomenal, and unusually for a motorcycle. You can actually see where the money's gone. I think the majority of motorcycles these days, especially from like the big four manufacturers, even Triumph, they're overpriced. For what you get, they are way overpriced. You know, I can remember, of course we're going back to rose tinted glasses mode, but when I was on a 125, a superbike would typically cost £4,500, or maybe a bit out on that. And you know, like Kawasaki and Suzuki always seem very reasonable. Yamaha always seemed very reasonable, and Honda were just, fuck it, we'll charge what we can get away with. But now everybody is taking the, let's just bump the price up and see what we can get away with. There is no way on this earth that a production motorcycle that sells tens of thousands of units across the globe costs that to build. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. The initial development and testing costs a huge amount of money, which they soon get back. But there is no way something like a Bonneville or something like that, although they are a lovely bike, I'll have one in the garage tomorrow, they're just too expensive. But for what you're getting, the way too expensive, I can get, I mean now if I got a good deal, I could get a Royal Enfield Conti 650 and probably a Meteor 350 on top if I haggled really well for the price of a new Bonneville. And you know, I don't know about you guys, but I know what I'd sooner do. I'd sooner have the two Enfields, and that's not because I like Enfields better, I don't. I think most bikes are absolutely wonderful. It's like, you know, like BMW motorcycles and stuff like that. Ducatis, 30 grand for a Ducati, or whatever they are now, because I just don't look. Can't afford them, don't look. But it's like, some of them are just stupid. But it's gone the same in the car world. You look at like a Ford Fiesta now. A Ford Fiesta, well over £20,000 if you want a decent one. And by decent one, I don't necessarily mean fast. There's a payphone. This is another bugbear of mine. Trust me, I've got thousands, because I'm now old. I'm now a grumpy old bloody man. And I probably have been actually since I was about 25, let's be fair. Cyclists that do not use cycle lanes. Okay, in most places this isn't an issue, but if you're on a busy main road, like the A5 for example, 50, 60 mile an hour road, loads of big lorries and all this lot, I see people on a regular basis on push bikes riding in the road, and there's a cycle lane right next to them on the pavement, well away from traffic, for their safety. And that's what it's there for, their safety, and ours as motorists. But instead, they're forcing articulated lorries and stuff like that to go from whatever speed they're doing, you know, down to 5-6 miles an hour to get past you, and then it's half an hour again up the gearbox. It's fucking irritating, and it's also bloody dangerous, and I think half of it is pig-headed. It's just pure pig-headed. It's like, well, I have every right to be out on my cycle. Well, yes you do, but use your fucking brains. It's not difficult. It's like people complain about filtering in this country. Filtering in this country, in the UK, is perfectly legal for a motorcycle. Perfectly. But there are quite a few car drivers that will see you coming down and they'll inch over. Or something like that. They would deliberately try and block you, and that's when they get the wing mirrors punched, basically, because they're being pig ignorant fucks. I do not tolerate it at all. Especially when you know they're deliberately being a cunt, then you have to be a cunt back. I'm sorry, there's no be all and end all of it. Quite often I will stop and go, you do realise it is fucking legal, don't you? And when they see like the camera on your helmet and all that lot, they go very sheepish, going, you're not going to put that on Facebook or anything, are you? Well, I might, it depends on your attitude. Because right now, mine stinks, you know. Like, have you farted? Of course I have. You don't think I always smell like this, do you? This is a bit of a dodgy junction to get out of. Anyway, guys, right, I've had me rant. Sorry to bore you to death with another rant, but I thought I better get a video out. Quite often it's difficult to find a subject. You can always suggest subjects in the comment sections, and we've now got a Facebook page. So enjoy your weekend, guys. Ta-da, bye-bye. Have fun, keep safe, lots of sex, etc. GoPro, stop recording.
What the?